Well, we got a lot of rain yesterday and filled up my trench, and it's keeping me from getting this job done. And we got a lot more rain forecast for tomorrow. So I think what I'm gonna do is, since this is like down the hillside here, I think I'm gonna just continue trenching this out down the hill to where I can drain this, because that is a lot of water, and it goes all the way up to close to where I started. Now that the trench is drained somewhat, for the most part, there's still water in it, but I can still work this hydrant here. Right here, I'm going to terminate this one 3/4 inch pipe here to this hydrant on this side, right along the fence line here. So what I need to do is put this T-post in. That's going to go right in here, hammer, pound that in with the T-post driver there, and that's going to give me something to secure the actual frost-free hydrant to, using some hose clamps. The bucket here is for the gravel. That's some drainage gravel, some drainage rock that I'm going to put in the bucket and down in the bottom. And the bucket kind of holds the gravel in place around the bottom of the hydrant where the seep hole is out, the weep hole. That weep hole down at the bottom of the hydrant there is where the water will drain out of the pipe. There's a plunger that goes all the way down a rod with a plunger at the end that goes down to the bottom here. So every time you close that valve up top, the plunger goes opens the weep hole down at the bottom and allows all the water that might be in the pipe up there to weep out that hole at the bottom and into the gravel. So that's why I'm going to put gravel there, because it was just in the muck. It may not seep out like it should, and that's what keeps it from freezing. It keeps the water draining below the frost line. And the bucket kind of contains all of that drainage rock. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna cut a notch in the top of that lid. That's where the hydrant will go through, and then I'm gonna cut the bottom out so that the gravel just will, sit underneath there. And then a notch in the side for the pipe to go through. So I'll just slide the pipe up through there, rock in the bottom, and this will keep dirt and everything from falling into the rock, and the hydrant will come out there. hydrant will sit with the weep hole. I want the hydrant to be sideways to the fence here, facing that direction. The weep hole is going this way, so the T-post won't be blocking it. Okay, now I can install the PEX. This should be good. Now, what I'll do is I'll lift the bucket out and put that back in after this, and it'll slide. So I did that slot in the bucket, it'll slide over the pipe. But what I need to do is I need to finish the rest of the hydrants and all the rest of the hookups over there, so I can put it under pressure and test for leaks before I put it down in and bury this and finish it up. This is the next hydrant section. This is where the chicken coop is at. And this one I can pre-assemble the entire thing right here, all of these parts, get them all good and tight. And then I'll set that down into the hole, and then we'll hook the hydrant on to the very end of it. And I'll have to do it that way because since this screws on, it's not PEX connected like the other one, I'm gonna have to set this in and then put the hydrant on and turn the hydrant this way to tighten it onto the street elbow here. If I had tried to put the hydrant on first and then try to hook this on, you can't. I mean, the hydrant would have to swing down underground, and that just doesn't work. So we'll have to put the hydrant on after. So I'll pre-assemble all this now. Okay, well, this section is complete. This is the tee off to the hydrant for the chicken coop. Much easier to do outside the ditch, a lot more maneuverable since you got the area to do it. Down in that ditch, it would be really, really hard, especially as awkward as the pipe wrenches are for me as an amateur at this, but I got it done. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this section. This is actually two boxes here. One is the tee off to the house, and the other is the tee off to the hydrant for the garden and the greenhouse and whatnot there. So I'm gonna assemble all this now up here before I jump in that ditch and get really, really muddy. Well, there's nothing worse than finishing a job and finding out that you have leftover parts, especially when it comes to plumbing. Yeah, I made a big mistake last night. I forgot to put in the stiffeners in the poly before putting on those pack joint fittings, those forward fittings. And so it's a big mistake. And now I'm gonna have to redo it all. I went to the plumbing supply store this morning, talked to the guys there, and they told me I could just undo it all and put these back in and redo the compression fittings. It's fine. These pack joint fittings are fine. The rubber gasket's fine in there. All I gotta do is just undo it all and redo it the right way. So, time, effort. Oh well, you learned something. Okay, so to redo this whole thing, what I did is I put a couple meter boxes underneath the poly, raised the poly up, hold everything that I put together, just kind of raise it up out of the water so I can get at it a little easier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna undo both sides of those fittings, slip those stiffeners in, and redo it all. Man, these boots, I tell you, these are the Hysia muck boots. They are awesome. I mean, I've been in standing water and mud up to almost the top and have stayed completely dry. These boots are awesome. I got a link down below if you're interested on Amazon. I've had these now for over a year, and they are great. The part I was missing here. This is the stiffener, the insert stiffener. And this goes inside the poly, like so. And that stiffens the wall of this poly, so as this crushes down on it, it doesn't actually crush the pipe. Now this is pretty thick poly, so it probably is not going to be a big deal, but it's definitely going to help over time. Make sure that it doesn't start to compress out of shape and you know, maybe seep some water at some point. Okay, good. All right, one side done. Now, you know, it's better safe than sorry. I know it's extra work, but I want to make sure this is done right. So I went ahead and just put that insert back in. Now for this side. Okay. Okay, I think this is as far as that's going. Okay, done. Whew. Now hopefully it doesn't leak, because I don't want to do that all over again. Okay, on to the last one. Okay, and finally this last one here. I forgot to put the stiffener insert on this one also. Oh God, mistakes. I hate mistakes when you have to redo everything. Okay, stiffener insert. I can't believe that's all I missed was just that. Everything else I think was okay. Okay, well that actually wasn't too bad to replace all three of those. Boy, I was stressing about that last night. I thought maybe that these were like one-time use and I have to replace them all, but that wasn't the case. It was just an easy, just undo it, put those inserts in, fix it back up. All right, since I originally had a brass nipple connecting the next section of fittings here for the hydrant and the sink and irrigation system, but that was going to be too close together to go from box to box, so I decided to switch that up to some PEX, some CTS copper tube sizing PEX. It's for underground water systems here. So that means I need to put in the male PEX fitting there. And because I'm doing this PEX underground with ring clamps, whatever they're called, I'm also going to wrap it in a silicone tape just to be safe, so it lasts. So clamp goes on first. Okay. It needs to slide over more. It's a little tight. There we go. Okay. Crap. Done. Okay, so now the same thing for this side, where I've got the PEX male adapter here that's going to go into this fitting. Okay, never want to forget to put the PEX ring on before putting the fitting on. All right. Now I want to hook the hydrant up to it, and that'll close off the system so I can turn the water on, test for leaks. Let's go turn on the water. Make sure we don't have any leaks. Okay, the moment of truth. There we go. So far nothing there, but I'm gonna come back and check on that. Okay, I don't hear or see any gushes of water anywhere, which is good. Nothing major. I'll come back and see if there's seepage. What I want to do is open this valve at the end and let all the air out. Yep, good. Now I'm just gonna fill this with water, unfortunately. Or you know what? I'm gonna go get a hose, put a hose on here. That way I don't fill this up with water and I'll just divert it over there. Okay, here we go. Oh, nope, the valve's off. Oh. So far, no drips, no drippy drips. Okay, here we go. And we have water to garden. Nice. And everything is dry. Okay, getting some air out. Uh-oh. I'm wet. Damn it. Okay. Well, I'm hoping I can just get another turn or two out of that to tighten that up. Let's hope that does it. And that's the only one. I'm trying to wrap up this last, I mean, this I've already undone this, but just to take you back a little bit, this is my final connection here where the old main was coming in and this shoots off to the barnuminium here. And this has been leaking and I thought it was in here and I've been trying to fix it. I even had to cut this off here to be able to swing this around and tighten this up more. And that may have, but I solved for that leak, but it was still dripping and it was just so slow. It wasn't even really a drip, but it was just staying a little bit wet and I couldn't figure it out. And I even checked the meter. The meter wasn't even moving, or it wasn't moving in the amount of time I was standing there looking at it. And so I put a bucket under here overnight and sure enough, it got water in it. So enough to drip continuously overnight where it's a problem. And I figured out that it was probably coming from the stem here. And sure enough, that's what it is. I just took this off. You can take this off. And before I did that though, I thought I needed to redo all of this. So I went to the store and bought another valve. And here's another mistake. The guy gave me this ball valve, similar, ball valve, except for one major difference, the yellow handle. And I didn't catch that at first until I looked at this and it says not for potable water. I don't know if you can see that. It says not for potable water. Well, that means I can't use this because this is my water supply. And so I'm just upset that I didn't catch that. You got to make sure it says lead free or for potable water, which this one does. And this one, I checked all the other valves I got. But for some reason, this guy, when I went back to get another one of these, he gave me the wrong one. And now I can't use it. It's, anyway. But then I determined that maybe I can fix this. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I've already taken the nut off and just checking it out. That's how that's assembled. There's a nut on top and you can take the handle off. And, sure enough, I dried this out just using a rag. And I can see water starting to seep up through the stem there. And that's where it's dripping from. So from what I understand, now that I take the handle off, I could tighten this nut here maybe. If I tighten this down, hopefully that will, see how that water is starting to, if I tighten that down, hopefully it'll stop that leak. and then I won't have to replace all this, because that would really suck if I have to replace all of this, because I have to shut off the main to the house, the water, because it's, yeah, and have to redo all this. I just don't have time for that. All right, we're gonna see if we can tighten this down some. Well, it moved a little bit. Oh yeah. Let's see if that worked. God, I hope so. I think it did it. There is nothing coming out now. That's awesome. That's gonna save me a lot of time and money. God, it's all about troubleshooting. It took me a while to figure it out, but you know, knowing what to look for. Yeah. That is dry. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put another bucket under there, a little pan, and let this dry out. I'm gonna go finish burying and regrading everything, all the dirt, and come back in say an hour or so, and just make sure that this is fully dried out. And if so, I think I'm good to go. Okay, so my hole is deeper than I need it because I'm only going 2 stacks high, 2 of those risers high plus the main meter box, and it's set too low if I put it on the bottom here, because I need to be flush with the ground, or I want this to be raised up above the ground just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I don't want to fill it with dirt and mud on the bottom, because I need this to be deeper where I'm gonna put the bucket with the gravel, because I want it to be able to drain underneath. So that's why I grabbed some of these stones that were in the dirt here, and I'm gonna try to position those underneath to kind of prop the box up to the location I want it, and then I'll backfill around it after I then put the, you know, put it around all the piping and everything. Yeah, yep, perfect. So I'll just put it here. I just needed enough to prop it up, because that bucket then I'm gonna set right in here, because I'm gonna pull this a little bit this way. If anybody want to know what a guinea sounds like and how annoying they are, that's it right there. And that's not the only noise they make. They make other worse noises. But yeah, they are super annoying. That'll also help give it a bit of a solid foundation so it doesn't just all sink down in this mud as I'm doing here in my nice ICEA boots here. And what I need to do is pull this whole thing this way just a little bit. Okay, so I just want to pull this line a little taut, a little bit too much slack down there, and bring it this way. So what I did is I attached this as a ratchet strap onto it here, and I'm just going to wrap this around the bucket here, and I'm going to use the tractor to kind of pull just gently, just a little bit, to pull that slack out, because it's all buried in the mud now. And I got to be super careful that I don't pull it too much and pull that apart, that away from that fitting down there. Yeah, see how far away? So I got it a good 6 inches, 8 inches away from where it used to be. Since I pulled the pipe that way a little bit, now I'm gonna have to reposition my T-post. So this slot here, go around that pipe, like so. Just like so. There it is. If I had to turn it off, I could turn it off. Okay, now the risers. All right, before I put this PEX joint down and underground here, I'm gonna actually wrap this with a silicone tape that's meant to really seal off, you know, the PEX clamp and make it last longer underground. Just stretch this over it. It's kind of rubbery. You want to overlap it, you know, a good inch on each side. And it sticks to itself. It's not adhesive, but it will over time, you know, the next hour or two, it's going to really bond to itself and really make that watertight, airtight, and protect that underground so it will last, you know, 25 years or more. There we go, ready for burial. All right, before I bury all this, I need to run a tracer wire so that way, if I ever need to find it, using the metal detector, I'll pick it up because the poly pipe won't pick it up. All right, we can finally get rid of all this hose. Get this wound up and out of the way. And we've got miles and miles and miles of hose. Just for chicken coop water. We're good. I need to get some gravel down in there so I don't turn into a big mud pit. Okay, now over at the final location, we do have water. Yep, all is good here. All right, now this one I'm not going to be worried about too much because they're going to come and dig this out anyways to head that way soon. Oh yeah, you can use some more watering, clean water for sure. Well, that was a really big job, especially to do by myself. So a quick disclaimer here. I am not a professional licensed plumber. I am just a rancher, homesteader, DIYer, trying to run water out to my chicken coop, my pasture, out to the garden, and then to my final, farmhouse that we're gonna build. So whatever you saw here, it's not 100% guidance on how it should be done. It's just how I did it. That being said, there's plenty of lessons to learn. One, make sure you've got plenty of days of warm, dry weather to complete this project in. I thought I had plenty being on vacation for Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving rains came on us pretty fast and hard. Lots of rain. I think we got a couple inches of rain, and I wasn't done with the job yet, and it filled my trench with water, as you saw, and it was just a mud mess the rest of the job, and so that was a real pain. Then we had a hard freeze a couple days later, a couple nights later, and so I had to quickly bury everything and finish it up and bury as much as I could before that hard freeze came and ruined everything I had just done. So make sure you got enough time where it doesn't freeze either. Another thing is just do your research. Do lots and lots of research. Hopefully this video helps you at least see some of the process and some of the tools and the parts that are needed to do a job like this. One of the mistakes I made, because I didn't think through it as much as I should, and I did a lot of thinking about this, was maybe I didn't need 3 1.5-inch tees off to these hydrants. I could have probably run all the way to the final hydrant and then run a 3/4-inch PEX all the way back to the chicken coop here for a lot less cost. You know, and also because I have a tee here in my 1.5-inch supply line, it's just another point of potential failure in the future. So I probably would have done that different. Now that I've done this project, I probably would have come back with a 3/4-inch to the spot to this hydrant instead. Another thing, know your parts. All the brass parts I got, the valves, did all my research on that, but I still, when I went back to the store, I bought the wrong valve, or the guy handed me the wrong one. It was a non-potable water ball valve, and I didn't catch it. I should have caught something like that. It made me look like a total amateur, I guess, because now I'm gonna go back and return it and tell him he gave me the wrong thing. And it's most likely because I didn't ask for the right thing, right? Or I didn't specify exactly what I needed the ball valve for. Be ready to troubleshoot. You need to have the ability to put the effort into just a lot of hard work and troubleshooting when things don't go exactly right. Especially with water, when you might have a leak and you're gonna have to like redo everything, or you don't do it right the first time and you realize after you got extra parts and like, wait a second, where'd this come from? Shoot, I forgot to put the stiffener into the poly pipe. So I had to redo everything. That's more time, more effort, more pain and suffering. So, you know, make sure that you're able to do all the troubleshooting and rework, because as amateur DIYers, there's going to be a lot of rework. And you know, when this thing was leaking at the very beginning here, at the main connection point, it just drove me nuts because I couldn't figure out why it was leaking, and you know, finally did figure out it was coming out of that valve stem, and that I could just tighten that down. And it was actually awesome that I figured that out instead of having to replace everything. So yeah, make sure you can do the troubleshooting and do the work. One thing I'll note is everybody's situation is just a little bit different. We're in the Ozark Mountains here, and we have very rocky soil, and so I had to put that, you know, bedding of grit down to bed that poly pipe in, just because it's so rocky. Now you may live in a sandy environment, or you know, some soft soils, and you may not need to do that. But if you've got rocky soil, it's something that should be done. Also, we are in the south, so our frost line is only 14 to 18 inches around here. So I didn't have to go that deep. In your area, you may have to go a lot deeper, so check what your frost line is. I also went 1.5 inch because of the long distance I needed to go from where my meter's at. I needed to have enough water volume to get all the way to the new farmhouse site, with all the friction of the pipe and that distance. So I wanted the water volume. Once we reduce down to 3/4 inch at the house, we'll also get the pressure then. So there's charts and graphs and tables out there that you can, you know, look this up and do the math to figure out what size pipe that you may need for your situation. And finally, this is a dirty job. So make sure you've got the proper clothing, gloves, to get dirty and potentially super muddy. My boots, these Hysia muck boots that I have, really good and very affordable. So check those out. There's a link down below in the description if you're interested in those. I really stand by them. I've had them now well over a year and put them through tons and tons of water and mud and muck and whatnot, and they've really held up really well. And actually finally, if you're thinking about getting guineas, second guess yourself on that one. Our guineas are annoying. I don't think we're gonna get any more guineas after this. This is our experiment with them because we have a lot of ticks here, but guineas in the winter, they're not doing any good anyways, and they're just noisy and they're too close to the house. Our coop is too close to where we're at, and it's just super annoying. So with that, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, so you can stay up to date on everything we're doing out here at the ranch, especially with our modern farmhouse build that we're just now getting started. So until next time, keep living the dream. I put water in there for you.